Chosen one, anchor your spirit to every word I'm about to say right now. That feeling rising in your chest, that quiet, almost dangerous sense that something in you has permanently shifted, do not dismiss it. The enemy is working overtime today for one reason and one reason only. He just watched you come back, and he is terrified because you were supposed to stay down. You were supposed to let that season break you. You were supposed to walk away from everything you were called to and call it wisdom. That was the plan, his plan, and you violated every single line of it. It all ends now. The warfare, the whisper campaign, the cycle of second guessing. But understand this clearly, because this is the part most people miss. It is not ending because of chance. It is ending because of what you endured, because of what you refused to surrender, because of what you became while no one was watching. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. The Holy Spirit did. This is a divine appointment, scheduled before the foundations of the earth, arriving at exactly the right moment, the moment you crossed back over the threshold. Stay until the very last word, because in the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the legal decree that officially cancels every assignment the enemy launched against your return. I am going to show you the exact moments during your darkest season that were not failures, but weapons. And at the end, we are going to seal this new chapter with a declaration so precise it locks the door on who you used to be forever. Do not click away. The version of you that was buried in that season is begging the version of you sitting here right now to stay and receive what heaven prepared for your return. I know what the last weeks have felt like. Not quiet, not peaceful, heavy in a way that is difficult to explain to anyone who has not lived it. Like you were carrying something no one else could see, moving through rooms full of people and feeling completely alone inside the weight of what you were going through. Maybe you were lying in bed sometime in the middle of the night this week, staring at the ceiling, running through everything that happened, every decision, every door that closed, every person who disappeared, wondering if the version of you that existed before all of it is ever coming back. Or maybe you were standing in front of a mirror recently, looking at your own face, and for the first time in a long time, something looked different. Something in your eyes had changed. Something harder, something steadier, and you were not entirely sure yet whether to call it damage or power. You feel like someone who has crossed a desert and just stepped onto solid ground, but has not yet caught your breath enough to celebrate. And in that exhale, in that in-between space, the enemy has been whispering a very specific lie. He has been telling you that what you went through diminished you. He has been looping the moments where you cried when you did not want to, where you begged for something that never came, where you were so depleted you could not even form the prayer correctly. He has been holding those moments up like evidence and telling you that coming back does not count because you came back damaged, that you are not stronger, you are just surviving, that the real version of your destiny passed while you were down on the ground. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Isaiah 61:7 says, "Instead of your shame you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace you will rejoice in your inheritance. And so you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours." Listen to that verdict. A double portion, not a replacement portion, not a consolation portion. Double. The scripture does not say you will recover what was lost. It says you will receive double in the place where shame tried to take root. That means everything the enemy used to break you down is now legally obligated by divine decree to pay you back twice. You did not come back smaller. You came back with compound interest on your calling. The heaviness you still feel is not the residue of defeat. It is the density of a person who has been through fire and did not dissolve. Pressure does not destroy diamonds, it creates them. And what you are feeling in your chest right now, that weight, that solidity, that quiet intensity that makes you slow your words before you speak them, that is not damage, that is unbreakable. You think those nights on the floor were weakness. You think the silence you kept when everything in you wanted to scream was failure. You think walking away from what was destroying you made you a quitter. Let me reframe your reality right now. That was not weakness, that was warfare. Every single moment you survived without becoming what tried to destroy you was a victory the enemy had no answer for. You came back. And you came back as someone he no longer recognizes. That is not recovery. That is resurrection. And resurrection, chosen one, is always more powerful than what came before it. They tried to break you. And for a moment, maybe a long moment, it looked like they succeeded. The silence after the storm, the stillness after the collapse, the version of you that sat in the ruins of what used to be your life and wondered if you would ever find the strength to stand again. That moment was real, that pain was real, and God saw every single second of it. He witnessed the crumbling of foundations, the shattering of dreams, the profound ache of an existence that felt utterly undone. He saw the tears that carved rivers on your face, the whispers of despair that threatened to swallow you whole, the hollow echo in your spirit that cried out for an answer that seemed to never come. It was a landscape of desolation, a testament to the forces that sought to dismantle you piece by agonizing piece. But here is what they did not see. Here is what the enemy miscalculated. Here is what even the people closest to you could not have predicted. While you were down, something was being built inside you that could not have been constructed any other way, not through comfort, not through ease, not through the life you thought you deserved, only through the breaking, only through the fire, only through the season that felt like abandonment, but was actually acceleration. Imagine a sculptor, not gently carving a masterpiece, but a blacksmith, plunging red-hot metal into the cooling water, the violent hiss and steam, a necessary catalyst for strength. This was not passive waiting, it was divine alchemy. The crucible of your trials, the pressure that felt unbearable, was the very process forging an unshakable core within you. It was the forge where resilience was hammered into being, where faith was tempered into an unyielding shield, and where your spirit was reshaped into a vessel capable of holding far greater glory than you ever imagined. The enemy saw defeat. God saw the birthing of a titan. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. If something stirred deep in your spirit just now, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide reveals the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your destiny. It also comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it during prayer, rest, or quiet moments with God. And for those called to speak His truth, you'll also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus ebook for those carrying a prophetic assignment. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. What you need to understand first, and this is the foundation of everything that follows, is that you have been misreading your own story. You have been interpreting your setbacks through the lens of failure when heaven was reading them as formation. Every time you said, "I lost everything," God was saying, "I cleared the ground." Every time you said, "Nobody believed in me," heaven was saying, "Good, now you'll learn to walk by faith and not by validation." The misreading of your own story has been the invisible chain around your ankle. You kept waiting to be restored to what you had before, never realizing that what you had before was never the destination, it was just the classroom. You have been gazing at the dust motes of what was, while a magnificent cathedral was being designed and erected within you. The perceived demolition was, in fact, the sacred clearing of land for a building far grander than the original structure. It was the divine architect saying, "This flawed foundation cannot bear the weight of what I have planned. Let me clear it all away, not to punish, but to prepare for a masterpiece." Your narrative has been shadowed by the specter of loss, but the heavenly record keeper has been meticulously documenting the birth of strength, the germination of wisdom, and the quiet triumph of the spirit learning to dance in the rain, rather than merely seeking shelter. The chains you felt were forged from the misunderstanding that the past held the blueprint for your future. Think about David. Before the throne, before the anointing was ever publicly acknowledged, there was a wilderness. There was Saul's spear flying past his head in the night. There was a cave at Adullam where David hid, surrounded by men who were broken, in debt, and desperate. And in that cave, not in the palace, not in the moment of public victory, David wrote some of the most powerful declarations ever spoken over a human life. The Psalms were not written from abundance. They were forged in hiding. They were carved out of desperation. And this matters for you because the things being produced in your season of hiding, the clarity, the resilience, the depth of character you didn't have 2 years ago, these are not signs that God has forgotten you. These are signs that He is preparing you for something that requires exactly what you are becoming. Consider David not just a king, but a shepherd boy plunged into a maelstrom. His reign of power was not born in the gentle fields where he first learned to sling stones, but in the stark, echoing silence of caves, with the scent of desperation clinging to the air. The most profound truths about God's faithfulness, the most soaring anthems of praise, the deepest wells of reliance on the Almighty were not sung from opulent halls, but from the very edges of survival. The loneliness of his exile, the constant threat of annihilation, the camaraderie born of shared hardship in the cave of Adullam. These were the chisels that carved into David's soul the resilience, the courage, and the profound understanding of God that would later define his kingship. Your current season of obscurity is not a sign of divine neglect, but a sacred apprenticeship. The skills you are honing in the shadows, the character you are building under duress, are not incidental. They are the essential tools for the monumental task that awaits you. A task that the David of yesterday, unscarred and untested, could never have carried. But here is where it goes deeper, and this is the part most people skip over, because it is uncomfortable. The breakthrough you are pressing toward is not just about what God wants to give you, it is about who God needs you to be when you receive it. There are blessings on the other side of this season that would have destroyed the version of you that existed before the fire. The relationships, the influence, the platform, the provision, if any of it had come when you first asked for it, before the character was developed, before the ego was refined, before the wounds were healed, it would have consumed you from the inside out. You would have built on sand and not known it until the first storm hit, so the delay was not punishment. The delay was protection. And once that lands in your spirit, something shifts permanently. Imagine a child being handed the keys to a high-performance sports car before they have even learned to drive. The potential for magnificent journeys is there, but without the mastery of the controls, the understanding of the mechanics, and the maturity to handle the power, the result would be catastrophic. Your current blessings are not being withheld, they are being safeguarded. The riches of influence, the abundance of provision, the deep wells of connection that you yearn for would be like untamed lions in the hands of a novice. They would devour you, not because they are inherently destructive, but because you, in your unrefined state, would lack the wisdom, the humility, and the spiritual fortitude to steward them. The trials you are enduring are the rigorous training program, the spiritual driver's education, ensuring that when you are entrusted with greater responsibilities and abundant blessings, you will be not only capable but unshakable. This pause is not a prison, it is a protective vault, safeguarding your future self from a premature and devastating success. And this leads us to something most people miss entirely. There is a lie that gets planted in long seasons of waiting, and it is subtle enough to survive even in the hearts of people who believe deeply. The lie sounds like this: maybe I misheard God. Maybe I was never really called. Maybe the vision was just my imagination. And the reason this lie is so dangerous is because it doesn't attack your faith directly. It attacks your confidence in your own hearing. It makes you doubt the moment of clarity you received before the suffering began. And once you doubt that, you become spiritually paralyzed. Still praying, still showing up, but no longer moving with the authority that was given to you. What is coming up next is the insight that will dismantle that lie at its root, because until it is pulled out completely, it will keep bearing fruit in every area of your life. This insidious whisper of doubt is the enemy's most cunning weapon, not aimed at your belief in God, but at your belief in your own connection to Him. It is the phantom limb of certainty that continues to ache, the ghost of a divine whisper that you try to silence with the clamor of your current circumstances. When you begin to question the very moments of divine download, those flashes of illumination that birthed your journey, you sever the lifeline that connects you to your divine purpose. You become a ship adrift with the anchor of your past spiritual experiences dragging uselessly beneath you, unable to guide you through the fog of uncertainty. This lie is not a frontal assault on your faith. It is a stealth operation, aiming to disarm you by making you question your own spiritual senses. It seeks to render you immobile, a soldier standing at attention but with no orders to march, paralyzed by the fear that the command you once heard so clearly was merely a figment of your own fervent imagination. The truth is this: the enemy does not waste ammunition on people who are not threats. He does not orchestrate years of targeted attacks against someone who has no assignment. The very intensity of what came against you is a testimony to what heaven placed inside you. Read the life of the Apostle Paul, a man who, after his conversion, was immediately thrust into conspiracy, exile, beatings, shipwrecks, imprisonment, and betrayal from people within his own community of faith. And yet every single one of those things did not diminish his calling. They documented it. The suffering became the evidence of the assignment. So if your life has been marked by an unusual amount of resistance, stop reading it as rejection and start reading it as rejection, and start reading it as reconnaissance. The enemy already knows what God placed in you. The question is, do you? Think of your life as a battlefield. The enemy does not deploy his elite forces, his most potent weapons, his most sophisticated strategies against a civilian. He reserves them for the adversary, for the one with the strategic objective, the one who poses a genuine threat to his kingdom. The sheer ferocity of the attacks you have faced, the relentless pressure, the strategic dismantling of your plans is not an indictment of your weakness, it is a resounding declaration of your divine significance. Paul, the very embodiment of this truth, faced a storm of opposition that would have shattered any ordinary man. Yet each shipwreck, each imprisonment, each betrayal did not deter him. They were the indelible ink with which his divine assignment was written across the pages of history. They were not setbacks, they were the badges of his calling, the illuminated signposts that declared his vital importance in the cosmic narrative. Your resistance is not a sign that you are failing. It is a confirmation that you are on the right track, that you possess something of immeasurable value, something the enemy is desperate to neutralize. The enemy has already surveyed the terrain of your soul and recognized the formidable fortress of God's purpose within you. The question is not whether you are a threat, but whether you have fully embraced the power and the authority that has been divinely bestowed upon you. Now, once you understand that, you are ready for this. Knowing your identity in God is not the same as walking in it. This is a distinction that changes everything. There are people who have heard the right sermons, read the right scriptures, spoken the right declarations, and still live lives that are functionally unchanged. Not because the truth wasn't real, but because they received it mentally and never allowed it to reach the deep place, the place where the wounds still speak louder than the word. Transformation does not begin at the level of information. It begins at the level of the wound, and until you are willing to bring God into the specific place that still bleeds, the breakthrough remains at arm's length. Not because God withholds it, but because healing that has not been received cannot produce freedom. Consider the difference between possessing a treasure map and actually unearthing the treasure. You can possess all the knowledge of your divine identity, the intricate details of your worth, the glorious promises of your inheritance. You can recite the doctrines, memorize the scriptures, and speak the affirmations with eloquent precision. But until that truth is not just lodged in your intellect, but absorbed into the very marrow of your being, until it permeates the hidden chambers of your heart, where the old wounds still whisper their tales of inadequacy and pain, you remain a spectator to your own potential freedom. The breakthrough is not a distant land to be reached, but a deep subterranean wellspring that must be tapped. It requires you to bring the divine physician into the operating room of your soul, to allow him to tend to the places that still weep, the scars that still ache. True transformation is not a mental assent. It is a visceral embrace of God's healing, a courageous invitation for him to cleanse and restore the deepest recesses of your being. Only then can the freedom that has been so ardently sought become a tangible reality, not a concept grasped, but a life lived. Stay with me, because what comes next is the layer that breaks the cycle completely. There is a habit, and most people who are spiritually devoted still carry it, a habit of rehearsing the pain, not wallowing in it, not even being aware of it as a problem, but rehearsing it, telling the story of what happened to them with such detail, such emotional precision, such narrative ownership, that the story continues to live in the present tense. They abandoned me. It fell apart. I was betrayed. And every time the story is retold, the nervous system relives the wound. The identity is once again filtered through what was done to you rather than what God says about you. Forgiveness is not forgetting, but liberation requires that you stop letting the story of your breaking be the story you lead with. Because you are not who broke you. You are who survived it. You are who was rebuilt by it. And coming up, the final revelation that reframes everything you just received. This is a subtle, yet devastating pattern. The unconscious reenactment of trauma through narrative. It is the habit of drawing from the well of past hurts so frequently, so vividly, that the emotional and physiological echoes of those experiences are continuously reactivated. Each retelling becomes a fresh wound, reopening the fissures in your soul, anchoring your identity to the perpetrator's actions rather than God's redemption. It is like continuously playing a broken record, the scratch and the skip, reinforcing the very discord you seek to escape. Liberation is not found in denying the past, but in rewriting its ending. It is about recognizing that while you are a survivor of what happened, you are not defined by it. Your identity is not etched in the stone of their transgressions, but forged anew in the crucible of God's unwavering love and redemptive power. You are not the wreckage, you are the testament to the indestructible force that rebuilt you from the rubble. The story you must now lead with is not the narrative of your undoing, but the epic saga of your resurrection. But first, this has to land. You have been waiting for permission, waiting for the sign that it is finally safe to step forward, waiting for the confirmation from people whose approval you have unknowingly made a prerequisite for your obedience. And this, right here, is the hidden root beneath every delay that you could not explain. It was not the enemy that kept you waiting. It was not the enemy that kept you waiting. It was not your lack of readiness. It was the agreement you made, somewhere along the way, that you needed to be understood before you could move, that you needed to be validated before you could build, that the dream could not begin until someone else confirmed it was real. But let me show you something. Noah did not have a single witness who believed what he was building until the rain started. Not one. He built in public mockery, in visible confusion, in a silence from heaven that could have been misread as abandonment at any moment. And when the water came, the obedience spoke for itself. God is not waiting for you to build community around your calling before you step into it. He is waiting for you to trust Him enough to step before the crowd arrives. This yearning for external validation is a phantom limb of insecurity, a deeply ingrained habit of seeking approval from the world rather than from the one who created you. You have become so accustomed to seeking permission slips from others, needing their nod of affirmation before daring to step into the fullness of your divine assignment, that you have overlooked the ultimate authority, God Himself. You have been waiting for the echo of human affirmation when the thunderous roar of divine commissioning has already sounded within your spirit. Noah, a man standing at the precipice of a world-altering event, was not deterred by the cacophony of doubt and derision. He did not seek a committee to ratify his blueprints. His obedience was not contingent on the crowd's acceptance. It was fueled by an unwavering trust in the divine architect. He built in the stark solitude of conviction, his actions a testament to a faith that spoke louder than any human voice. God is not waiting for a chorus of approval to launch you into your destiny. He is waiting for you to recognize that His voice, when truly heard and obeyed, is the only permission you will ever need. Step out, not when the crowd arrives, but when the conviction ignites within you, trusting that His provision will always precede your obedience. And here is the part you did not expect. The thing that has been blocking you is not the enemy, not your past, not the people who hurt you. It is your own unanswered love for who you used to be. You are still grieving a version of yourself that could not have carried what God has now placed on your life. You are holding a funeral for the old identity, the one that was comfortable, the one that was understood, the one that had fewer questions and more certainty, and you are doing it quietly, privately, even spiritually. But the grief is real, and grief, when it is unnamed, becomes an anchor. The old you needed to die, not as punishment, not as loss, but as release, because what was buried was a seed, and what is rising now is a harvest that could not have come from the old ground. The person you are becoming could not have been born without the death of who you were. And the moment you stop mourning what God intentionally released, the moment you close that chapter with gratitude instead of grief, is the moment the resurrection becomes visible to everyone around you. This is perhaps the most profound and tender obstacle, the lingering attachment to a former self, a self that, while familiar, was ill-equipped for the divine mandate now resting upon you. It is a quiet, often unrecognized mourning for the comfort, the predictability, and the simpler understanding that defined your past. This grief, unacknowledged and unexpressed, becomes a heavy anchor, tethering you to the shore of what was, preventing you from sailing into the vast ocean of what is to come. The death of that former self is not a tragedy. It is a necessary transition, a spiritual metamorphosis. It is the planting of a seed, that beloved past self, into the fertile soil of transformation, destined to give birth to a far greater harvest. The person God is forging you to be could not have emerged from the confines of your former limitations. To truly embrace your future, you must consciously release the past, not with sorrow, but with gratitude for its role in preparing you for this moment. It is in closing that chapter with a heart full of thanksgiving, acknowledging its purpose and letting it go, that the miracle of your resurrection, the vibrant unfolding of your new identity, will become luminously apparent to the world. You came back, not as a diminished version of yourself trying to recover what was lost. You came back as the version God always intended, the one refined, the one rooted, the one who can no longer be moved by the same winds that once leveled you. And that is not something the enemy can undo. That is not something the next storm can take. That is forged, that is permanent, that is who you are now. You have not merely survived, you have been transformed. The shattered pieces of your past have not been glued back together into a fragile imitation of what you once were. Instead, they have been reconfigured, infused with divine purpose, and forged into something stronger, something more resilient, something utterly new. The storms that once threatened to capsize you now merely buffet against an unshakable edifice. The winds that once tore through your life like a hurricane now whispered gently against a spirit deeply rooted in the unyielding rock of God's love. This is not a temporary reprieve. This is your permanent state of being. You are no longer defined by what broke you, but by what rebuilt you. You are the living testament to a divine process that turned destruction into creation, ashes into beauty, and pain into power. Place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I release every story that was written about me by people who could not see my destiny. I release every wound that I have been using as evidence of my worth. I release the grief of who I used to be, and I receive the fullness of who I am becoming. I am not behind. I am not forgotten. I am not diminished. I am not diminished. I am the finished work of a fire that was designed to refine me, not destroy me. My breakthrough is not coming. It is already in motion, and I am walking into it with everything I have left. I am seen by heaven. I am chosen for this moment. And I will not wait for permission from the world to become what God already called me before I was formed. This is my season. This is my rising, and nothing can hold back what God has already released. If this message confirmed what your spirit already knew, share it with someone who is still standing in the ruins, wondering if they will ever rise again. Tell them what you now know. The fire did not finish them. It was only ever the beginning.